So we can watch this again and again if we want. Awesome. So happy afternoon, happy Tuesday. Thanks so much for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about 5 mistakes you might be making on LinkedIn and how to fix them. And then we'll go over a little bit how I can also be of help to you. Just a little bit of housekeeping in case you're new to Zoom. I know Zoom webinar specifically is a little bit newer of a tool for me. So you should have a toolbar that gives you access to the chat box. Carolyn has confirmed that that works. The other thing that you'll see is there's a Q&A button. What I would love for you to do is any questions that you're coming up with as we go through the webinar, if you can submit those questions through the Q&A box instead of the chat box, that's super helpful because it categorizes them all for me. And then at the end, when we get into our live Q&A, I'll have access to all of those. And that way I don't have to scroll through the chat box and make sure I didn't miss any questions. That would be perfect. You do have access to unmute yourself. So feel free, if at some point you're like, I really need you to stop, pause, hold on, like feel free to unmute yourself, hop in there, and we can talk it out. So this is the first time I've done a Zoom webinar from my browser instead of from a PDF. So I want you to be able to have access to like a couple other links that we're going to go through as we go through the webinar. So just bear with me if it's a little scrolly at times. So we will jump right in. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Emily. I am a career and business coach. I also do gender equity consulting work with 2 women up in Vermont. That's really fun. But ultimately, what I love doing is helping career climbers and entrepreneurs play big. And so that can look a couple different ways. That's getting credit for their work. That's making the money they deserve. That's having the voice that they want to have in the workplace. All right. And before we get started, I'd love to encourage you to turn off your phone, close any other tabs aside from your LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn page yet, that's totally fine. Don't worry about it. But if you do have a LinkedIn page, I encourage you to have that as one of your tabs and then just get rid of all the rest. You don't need those distractions. We won't be here this long and it would be great to just have our full attention. Awesome. Also, just make sure you have something to take notes. There'll be a couple spots that you might want to take some notes. So either a Google Doc open for that or pen and paper. And like I said in the beginning, when I ask you to answer a question, if you could please answer that in the chat. And then when you have a question, if you could submit that through the Q&A box, that would be super helpful. That way I can collect all of those and make sure I answer them at the end. All right, so first opportunity to hop in that chat box. Tell me in the chat, are you a career climber, entrepreneur, side hustler, or something else? Feel free to throw those in there just so we get a little introduction. Awesome. Hey, Allison, career pivoter. Great, love it. Natalie, career changer. Carolyn, side hustler. Will, career pivoter. Perfect, love it. Okay. All right, so let's go over the 3 things that we're going to go over today. So the first one is why LinkedIn matters and why I think you should be on it with a fully optimized profile. The second thing we're going to go over is why you're probably most likely registered for this webinar is the 5 most common and easily fixable mistakes I'm seeing in most of my clients' profiles. And then lastly, we'll follow up with how you can get some more help from me to increase those job leads and build a lasting network. All right, so tell me in the box, does that sound okay? Are we on the same page? Does that feel like what you signed up for today? Heck yeah, Natalie. Sounds good. Crystal clear, perfect, awesome. All right, so tell me if this sounds like you. Feel free to drop in the chat box. You're job hunting either passively or actively, and you've been told that LinkedIn is where it's at for job searching, but the whole platform kind of feels a little overwhelming. You're not really sure where to start. maybe you set your profile up like over 5 years ago and you just haven't touched it since. And so it's just not that up to date. It's not as relevant. Yep, totally. And maybe you're transitioning or thinking about transitioning and you're not really sure how to pitch those transferable skills. Yeah, Allison, feeling my profile is stodgy. Love it. Great word. So you wish there was an easy and clear path laid out for how to optimize your profile and how to actually use it. So something that I really like to clarify is there's a difference between optimizing your profile and actually using your profile. I am advocating that we do both, obviously one before the other, but to me, there's no point in optimizing your profile if you're not going to actually put it to its full use. And so we definitely will be touching on how to make that happen. So I used to feel the same way. I used to get super overwhelmed by LinkedIn. I kind of thought it was a little stale, stuffy. I thought Instagram and Facebook were way more fun. And LinkedIn just kind of felt like this super professional. And I was like, I'm not really sure what I should even be doing with this. I couldn't figure out how it was going to actually help me progress my career. And to me, it was like, if that's not going to happen, if the whole point of it in, driving my career forward is not working, then like, why am I bothering even being on here? And then when I first started my business, I could not come up with what to put in there, right? So I went from applying for positions and being a career climber to being a business owner. And I was like, how do I make this transition in the profile? So that's something that was also really hard for me. And I was just so unsure what to use it for that I'd either just totally ignore it altogether. I'd go like a year without ever logging in, or I would get sucked down these wormholes of oh, I have to write out every single project I've ever done in this one sector. And I would spend 2 hours filling out that section without any understanding if that really mattered or improved my chances. But I realized finally that a fully optimized LinkedIn page was necessary for my business and was necessary for my clients. And then once my clients started filling it out, I saw how incredibly impactful it was. My clients were getting 5x job leads in a matter of weeks just by learning how to use LinkedIn properly. And I even had clients receiving job offers in under 6 weeks of being on the platform. And a reminder to all of you, if you haven't been with me for a while, I sing this over and over again. It takes on average 6 to 9 months to get a new job. So for someone to be seeing results in 6 weeks, I was like, whoa, okay, something's here. Let's pay attention. So that's what we're going to go over today. That's what I want to help you create some of that change. So tell me in the chat box, are you ready for that change? Are you open to exploring LinkedIn and learning how it can work for you? Yes, yes, yes. Sweet. Love it. Let's keep going. All right. So the first of our 3 learning objectives today, why does LinkedIn matter and why should you spend time here? I've broken this out into 5 different reasons that I think are why we should be investing some time here. So the first one, LinkedIn actually has over 500 million professional profiles, which makes it the largest networking job opportunity connection possible. So just the sheer bandwidth of how many people are on there, to me, is a worthy reason why we should be investing in this. Secondly, 87% of recruiters are using LinkedIn exclusively to identify talents, and 95% of recruiters are using LinkedIn. So 87% using only LinkedIn, and 95% LinkedIn is part of their toolkit. So if you're not up there and your profile is not up to date, you're really missing out on this massive exposure. Third reason, people are just no longer getting jobs that old-fashioned way. There was a recent Wall Street Journal article. It found that 75% of people who get new jobs were actually not actively looking. So they were either passively looking for jobs or they weren't seeking jobs out at all, which means that one of two things. So either they're being referred or they were being headhunted. And a big part is being headhunted. And that is an awesome use of LinkedIn. I know personally, I have people reaching out on a weekly basis based off of my profile, asking if I'm available. And these are people that I'm not seeking out. So it's cool. You kind of get to this like tipping point in your profile where after you've invested enough energy and time there and you've really like substantiated your expertise in your field, people are going to start contacting you. And that's what we really want to be happening, so that you're not spending countless hours on there, you know, working your tail off to find people, but instead people are coming to you to learn. So the fourth reason, if you apply to a job anywhere, and you can actually try this right now if you want in your browser, if you just type in your name in a Google search, there is a very high probability that your LinkedIn profile will come up in the top 3 search results. And we want this to happen. This is a good thing. We would much rather, depending on your field, but we would much rather your LinkedIn profile pop up ahead of like your Facebook or your Instagram, because those are going to be a little less professional usually. And over 80% of all companies are Googling your name now when you apply. So it's really good to make sure we have that great brand awareness popping up right at the top of our search results. And then the last reason is LinkedIn really is the ultimate personal branding tool. So, you know, if you've been with me for a little bit now, you know that I'm always preaching this idea that we are all a business of one, whether you're a career climber or you're a business owner. I love for you to pitch yourself coming from this stance of I am a business of one, and I need to be able to articulate what my unique strengths are. LinkedIn is such a great place to be able to build that brand awareness that I think it's really deserving of that time. Okay, so tell me, did I convince you in those 5 reasons? Do we feel like LinkedIn is a worthy investment in our time? Awesome. Yes, yes, yes. Perfect. Okay. All right, so moving quickly through. Now that we've agreed on that we're going to actually use LinkedIn, we're going to invest our time in building out our profile. I want to talk about 5 of the mistakes that I commonly see. And these 5 that I picked today, you know, I could easily build this out to be 15 or 20 mistakes I usually see. But I picked the 5 that I think are maybe the least intuitive or the least likely to catch your eye right off the bat. So I'm not going to be talking about how to do the perfect profile picture. We can talk about that later on, but these are a little bit more behind the scenes, things that I want you to be thinking about. So the first one is a weak or non-descriptive or misleading even job title. So what does that look like? And especially if you're new to LinkedIn, like, don't worry, I'm going to explain all of these terms as we go along, but throw in the chat box, do you know what your current job title is in your LinkedIn profile? And if you have to take a look, that's okay. Some people don't know what it is. Project manager, okay. Allison, does it say anything other than project manager? Or is that it? So throw in your full title right now. President, great. It's a sentence since you're job hunting. Cool. Natalie, can you put that in the chat box for us? If you don't mind. Project manager, great. Yeah, take your time. No hurry. We're making good time here, so we're good. Awesome. Any other ones? All right. So most of us, I think it's fair to say, do have aspirations of moving in a vertical, awesome, Carolyn, creative, critical thinker, productivity coach and consultant, enthusiastic instructor. Nice, Carolyn. That's great. Multilingual manager of programs, projects, and people. I wonder if LOL is also in your title, Natalie. Okay, cool. These are great. This is a great starting spot. So most of us, like I was saying, have aspirations for moving up in our career. And if you have done the personal branding course that I put out just a couple of weeks ago, I'm advocating that we don't only highlight what we're currently doing, but instead highlighting what we want to be doing and where we're moving. So what I want is for you not only to be using your current title in your headline, but instead to be opting for something that reflects the job you want to be getting. And so this can be a little confusing. People are like, I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. So here are two examples. You'll also see mine up here. Two examples that I have for you: leadership and product management with mobile and healthcare expertise. So what's happening here is, instead of saying like product manager, right? So on this first example, they could have said product manager. Instead, they're focusing on the skill that they really are looking to develop further, which is leadership, right? They're trying to grow in product management. And then they're showing us what their two areas of expertise are: mobile and healthcare, okay? And then on the second one, marketing professional for high growth companies. So that's telling us not necessarily what specific level of marketing they're at. So they're not telling me that they're an assistant manager for the marketing department. Instead, they're telling me the field. I work in marketing, and this is who I'm for. I'm for high growth companies, right? So that's looking forward. Does that make sense? Hopefully that's clear there. And we'll talk more about how, yeah, okay, great. We'll talk more about how your personal brand statement can be useful here as we get down to the end. So if you've done that personal brand statement exercise with me already, that can be really helpful. If you haven't, you will have access to that. So that can be helpful in teasing out, like, what is that future why? All right, so with that in mind, what are some edits we could make? Throw them in the chat box. How could you change that up a little bit? And I know I'm asking you to come up with this on the spot, which can be hard. But just think about, when you're looking at your title, how else could you edit that to be a little more future oriented? Like, I'm looking at Carolyn's. I'm wondering, Carolyn, like, productivity coach and consultant for who, right? Like, so that could be an area you could improve on. You could talk a little bit more about who that's for. Creative marketer, nice. Well, yeah. So, Will, who are you a creative marketer for? What kind of business is that for? That could be an area in which you could open that up a little bit more. Allison, project manager. Yeah, so tell me a little bit about project management. Like, what does that mean to you, and how does that play out? Great. All right. So moving on. Mistake number 2 is not customizing your LinkedIn URL. This is something I don't think I've ever actually had a client come to me with a customized LinkedIn URL. Let me know in the chat box. Did you know you could customize this, and have you customized it? Yep. Great, Natalie. Awesome. All right. So 3 reasons why I think you should take the time. Great question, Will. So no, that is not customize. So customize would be, let's see. Actually, you can see it right here on mine at the bottom of this image. And so it wouldn't have that BBB3756 / on it, right? So we'll talk a little bit about that. Okay. So why you think, Allison, yours is not either, actually. Cool. Okay. All right. Caroline, perfect. Yep, you got it, girl. So 3 reasons why I'd like you to customize your LinkedIn, and this is super easy. I'm actually going to walk you how to do it right now. It makes you easier to find. This is especially important if you have a common name, and I'm not calling you common. I'm just saying if your name feels common. It makes it a lot easier to find you if you have a customized URL. It also boosts your credibility. So it shows that you have some tech savvy skills, which are cool. It shows that you're detail oriented. You make that extra effort. You put that, your best foot forward. And then it also has a cleaner look. Like if you do any sort of resumes, If you do resume writing services with my team, we always customize your URL. It just looks a lot cleaner on your business cards and your email signature, all of that. So let me just show you real quick where that is. So if I'm in my LinkedIn profile, I go up here to edit public profile and URL. And then right here in this top right corner, it says edit your custom URL. And so right there, I just click on that little pencil and I can type in whatever I want. Now, if you do have a more like common name, you might find that someone has already taken like just your first and last name, in which case you could add credentials to the end, you could add a middle name, you can get creative with it, but no matter what you put, it's going to be better than a series of numbers and letters at the end of your name. So take the 2 seconds it takes to do that. All right. Perfect. Success. Woohoo. Nice job, Will. All right. So mistake number 3, adding skills to your skills list that LinkedIn doesn't recognize. All right. So I have seen this with a couple clients. Tell me in the chat box, have you identified, first of all, do you even know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about your skills list? And have you identified, like, pinned to the top your 3 skills that you really want to be recognized for? And have you made sure that they're relevant to LinkedIn? So if you need a visual, if I come down in my profile, all the way down to skills and endorsements, you can see that I have 3 skills pinned to the top here. So there's resume writing, business coaching, and career development coaching. Now, the career development coaching is a good example. So if I come over here to the little pencil to edit, first of all, that's how you can reorder. And you just click these little pins to bring one to the top. So if I wanted politics to be at the top, I would first have to unpin here, and then I would pin politics, right? I don't really want to do that. Let's see. So we're going to unpin politics. And we had, wow, there's a lot in here. Career development coaching. Okay, so that one's back at the top for us. Ideally, these are the 3 things that you're most well known for in your role or in your business. It's important that they're relevant. I do not encourage you to put like Microsoft Office up here, or unless you have like, unless the technical skill is crucial to your business, I usually would encourage you to put hard skills that are more like interpersonal versus specific technical skills. So unless your company or your field requires you to be proficient in a specific tool, don't put those there. And okay, so what I mean by LinkedIn needs to be able to recognize it. When I type in career coaching, save that. So what you'll see right here is an example. So if I start typing in writing, it's going to pop up all the different types of writing that LinkedIn recognizes. It is not going to behoove me to put something that LinkedIn does not recognize. The reason for that is when people are searching keywords, when like hiring managers and recruiters are searching keywords through your profile, yeah, so exactly, Natalie. Yeah, so when recruiters and hiring managers are searching keywords through your profile, and I'll show you how that works, if you have unrecognizable skills, you're not going to pop up. Like, so you're not doing yourself any service by coming up with some like super trendy, cool new keyword. Like that's not going to work in this system. It's fine if you want to put that like in your resume, or if you're using that in your cover letter, something like that. But in a platform that needs to be searchable, you need to have the right keywords. So LinkedIn has thousands of different skills already listed in there. Make sure you're picking the ones that they are using. Does that make sense? Natalie, did I answer your question? Yeah. Okay. All right. So mistake number 4, keywords. So you don't have keywords in your about section or throughout the experience section. let's talk about this. So when was the last time you took a look and revamped your about section? Just let me know in the chat box. When was the last time you wrote your about section? Shudder. Yeah. If you need a reminder, this is your about section right up here. It's in the top fold. If I hit see more, this is about me. 2 months ago, nice, Will. Try monthly and get frustrated. Yep. That sounds about right. All right. It was written pre-kid. He is 9 now. Okay, Allison, this one is for you, girl. 3 to 5 by I deleted a year ago. Okay. All right, Carolyn. All right. So also tell me, do you know if your about section currently contains relevant keywords for your industry? It's totally okay if you don't know. You might also not know what the relevant keywords are for your industry. I totally get that, and we're going to talk about it. No idea. Okay. Great. All right, so why should you include keywords in your profile? Let's do a little demo. Can someone give me a keyword for their industry? It can be anything. Just throw it in the chat box. Should keywords be transferable skills for tech industry you hope to move over to? Okay, Allison, will you put that question in the Q&A so I can come back to it and I don't lose it? Yeah, no, you're good, girl. Okay, advertising, marketing. All right, thanks, Will. Okay, so I'm going to come up to my search bar up here and I'm going to type in advertising. Advertising. Do you see how it now shows me advertising in jobs, advertising in people, and advertising in groups? So if I'm a hiring manager or a recruiter, I'm going to hit advertising in people if I'm looking for someone who specializes in advertising. Now what's going to happen is it's going to pull advertising from all the current, like all of the profiles that are closest to me. So you'll see there, these are all going to be second and third connections. These are not like complete strangers to me. It pulls closest first. And so what's happening is it's pulling it from their job title. It's pulling it from past experience. It's pulling it from their summary. This is their about section, right? They've mentioned advertising and marketing in their about section. And you can look through all of these. It's going to be pulling from somewhere. Now, does it make sense to you that the more places you have those keywords, the higher you're going to come up on that search query? Does that make sense? So I want you to have those searchable keywords in your title bar. I want them in your about section. I want them throughout your experience. They could even be in your projects down at the end. And they might even be your skills. Those might be the skills that you've identified. So how do we figure out what these keywords are? The easiest way to figure this out is to use a program like Wordle or WordCloud. If you're not familiar, these are free, super easy. This is WordCloud. All you do is you go over to this little button, and I'll put this in your chat. You go over to this button here, Wizard, and it's going to prompt me to type or paste text. So I'm going to click that. All I have to do is highlight, let's see, we can do this. Let's go advertising in jobs. All right, so we've got a job description here, right? I'm going to pull this, I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste that text into here. When I hit apply, it's going to pull up what are the most used words in that job description. So what I want you to do, so right, we see here that writing, technology, creative, agency, all of these are important words that are being used over and over and over again. what you can do is copy and paste in, I would suggest anywhere between like 5 to 7 job descriptions from different companies that you are that you're gunning for, right? Like that's the industry you want to be in. You copy all of those and dump them in. Yes, wow, so clever. You dump them in, and that is going to pop out your top like 5 to 10 keywords. And those are the words that you need to be using throughout your whole profile. They're also the words that you want to be using in your resume. Yeah, and probably your personal brand statement. Memorize those words. Yes, good. I'm glad this is new information. I think this is really helpful. Totally, yay, game changing. Glad to hear it, Allison. So, okay, so do that. Moving on. Last mistake, and this is the one that I am the most passionate about and I think is the most interesting. So we're going to spend a little bit of time here. You're not sending personalized connection requests. Tell me in the chat box, have you ever added a personalized note when you reached out to someone on LinkedIn? Do you know that that is possible? Great, Natalie. Allison, no. Will, no. Got it. Okay. So this is one of it's a little bit of pet peeve of mine of LinkedIn that they don't automatically prompt you to do this. So this takes some strategy and you need to know that you want to do that. So why should you include a personalized note? Let's backstep just a little bit for anyone that's newer to LinkedIn that might not know what I'm talking about. Okay, so in my network, I'm up here. These are people that LinkedIn is prompting me that I might know, right? So this is just giving us an example of where we can find people. You could also look someone up that if you met someone at a networking event or at a, if you just started a new job and you meet a new person, you can always just type their name in up here. But let's just use one of these people for the sake of it. I don't know any of these people off the top of my head, but that's okay. They won't mind if we use their profile. What you're going to do is you're going to click on their name, and then you're going to hit the connect button. And when you do that, you'll see that it prompts you to add a note. Most people just click send now. Now that just sends a blanket request to this person who might A, not remember you, B, you might actually not know, and you're trying to get to know. Or C is sort of knows you, but they might need some context. When you just click send now, the likelihood of them responding is drastically decreased because even LinkedIn has gotten to the point where it's getting a little spammy. And so it's you'll have people out there that are just sending endless connection requests, trying to build these massive networks. And personally, I treat my network as one of my greatest resources. I do not accept requests from people that either don't have a personal note or I don't know. So adding a note is a great option. So you get 300 characters. This is not a lot of space to create a message, which is where I think, well, let me backstep a little bit. Okay, so this is what I want you to do. I want you to add this note when you're personalizing a request here. It refreshes their memory of how you got connected, and it gives them an opportunity, gives you the opportunity to let them know why you want to get in touch with them. Okay, so tell me in the chat, if you have reached out to someone, was it hard to come up with those words? And if you haven't, does that sound kind of hard? Especially if it's someone you don't know. What if I really wanted to know Willow King and I don't know her? What would I say? What would I write in that box? All right. So this is where, yeah, difficult. Yep. If it's a cold outreach, it's especially tough. Yes, exactly. It doesn't have to be though. That's the great part. That's what I'm excited to tell you. Whoop, hold on. Got off track there. Okay. So this is where it can be really helpful to have some outside help, especially in terms of reaching out to people that you don't know. And this is something I've developed in this LinkedIn course that's coming out at the end of this month, is going to teach you exactly how to reach out to people that you have no connection with whatsoever. And so that's different than, like, you could see here, like with Willow, we have 9 mutual connections. It would benefit me to reach out to one of those mutual connections and ask them to give us an introduction first, right? Like, I know Chantel very well. She would give me an introduction. But let's say I want to reach out to someone who I've never met before and I don't know them at all. That's where it can get a little bit tricky, is how do you do that? So I've designed this super awesome LinkedIn course. I'm really excited to share it with you. It teaches you step by step how to optimize your LinkedIn. So how to set up each of the segments, right? So making sure that every single part of your profile is fully optimized with the keywords that's supposed to be in there, making sure that your experience section is fully optimized, going through your educations, license, certifications, your skills and endorsements, as well as how to request and give recommendations, and then also how to fill out this accomplishments section. So first step is fully optimizing this profile. And then the second part, which I find more important even, is how to actually use it to increase these job leads and grow an authentic, useful network that's going to support you like throughout time, right? Like my network is now supporting me in growing my business, where before it was supporting me through transportation policy and government relations. Like, my network has been able to morph and transition with me, which is so useful. So LinkedIn Labyrinth, what is it? What am I talking about? The reason I came up with the name LinkedIn Labyrinth is, if you've never been in a labyrinth before, it's not possible to get lost. So they're different than a maze, in which case there are many places where you can get lost. A labyrinth has one direction and one way to get through. So the whole point of this course is to help you design your profile and double your job leads. That's really what we're going to go through. And then within that, it's broken down into 3 segments. So the first part, like I said, optimizing your profile, going through all of those segments. The second part is leveraging your network. So understanding the difference between active and passive job searching, how to utilize both, finding and adding connections. I also include over 15 customized templates. And this is where I think it can be really, really helpful. So these templates are pre-written, hand-designed for you to reach out to second and third connections, but also complete strangers. And what I've tested over the last year is that they have a response rate of about 2 out of every 3. So for every 3 networking connection requests you send out, 2 are going to come back positive. And that's a really high turnover. So I'm like super impressed that these templates have been working so well. And then the last segment of the course is focusing on LinkedIn secrets. So frequently asked questions. We've got tons of supplemental exercises, like what to ask for besides a job. I'm sure we've all been in that position where it's not really appropriate to ask, like, are you hiring, or would you hire me? But you really want to connect and you want to do something. So what else can you ask for aside from a job? Also understanding how to publish articles. So that's something you might have seen here. LinkedIn has the capacity, this one right here, has the capacity to let you publish your own articles, which is a great way to spread your knowledge. It's also a really great way to establish that you're an expert in what you're doing. I saw a woman a couple weeks ago did a great article that she published about actually searching for a job. So she wrote all about how she sought after a job, how she worked with recruiters, and then how she finally nailed the interview. So it's not just, I think sometimes we get the impression that like publishing articles is just for business owners or just for like CEOs or something, but it's for anyone, and it's a super easy platform. So we go through that. Also understanding like how to add your resume to LinkedIn and understanding the difference between your resume and your LinkedIn profile. So they are different and they should act differently and they should look differently. Also, things like searching incognito, reaching out to recruiters, whether or not you should buy premium, all of that stuff, we'll go through that. And so, yeah, so it's 3 modules. The 3 modules I just went through. There's over 15 fill in the blank templates and scripts for everything. These are reaching out to warm and cold contacts, recommendation requests. How do you ask for a recommendation? I've got that all written out. So you literally just copy it and paste it into the text box. You don't have to do any of that work. Also full of like networking introductions, as well as the personal brand statement exercise. So if you went through that course, that's all tied in there as well. What's kind of cool is you have lifetime access to the course. And so as I learn more, develop more, post maternity leave, I'll be adding more supplemental modules into this program, and people that purchase now will have that lifetime access to it at that lower price point. The other thing that I include in there is my custom-made networking tracker. So this is the networking tracker I use with all of my clients. It's super helpful to keep track of all of your leads. And then if you sign up today on the webinar, I'm also throwing in access to my salary negotiation course for free. So that's this course here. It's a 11 module, I think it's got 11 modules. Yeah, in this course, and this is all about how to negotiate your salary. So I'll put, this is the link for the LinkedIn course, just so you have it while we're here. But if you purchase today, happy to throw in that negotiation course for free, which is a really nice added on bonus. And so last but not least, pricing, the early bird pricing for this LinkedIn Labyrinth, you can save $100 if you buy before Friday. And just a reminder, if you buy today, you get that salary negotiation course. So I'll be sending out a reminder via email with all of these links later on today, but just so you have this kind of in your back pocket. Those are all the things that we'll be going through. Definitely keep your eyes peeled for an email from me. But I would love to turn it over to the Q&A. I know we've got a couple questions in there. If you haven't seen the Q&A box down at the bottom, it's probably down at the bottom of your screen. Feel free to plug something in there. You can also just unmute yourself and ask. Let me pull that up. Hello. Interesting. Maybe I have to stop recording in order to pull it open. I can tell that you all put stuff in there. All right, let me pause recording.